Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Back out of Giga Texas to start another work week. In fact, this is the last work week of the year for production here at the factory. Now they're going to be working all 5 days this week, including Friday, which is a little bit abnormal, but then they're going to be out of production for the rest of this year, and they will resume back on the 5th of January. So I know there's going to be a lot of work here to try to get as many vehicles produced as possible for this week, and then we'll have that break. Once they do come back on the 5th of January, expect a few days for the ramp to come back up online. They're going to be doing some stuff over the holidays on the lines, but also it's going to take just some time to get the lines up and running. So that's what you can expect here very soon. Another thing I want to talk about that kind of has to do with production, something that we've been watching with it has to do with the Cybercab. And just yesterday over in California, they had a display of a production-ready Cybercab. We got some really great views of both the exterior and the interior, and of course some of the things that have changed. Everything from the front spoiler under the front bumper, some of the different lights. Of course, the biggest thing that's obvious from the exterior is different wheel covers. They're similar in design but smaller, kind of more practical for driving around on the streets. Of course, the B-pillar has changed. It's frameless glass on the doors, which is a big difference. And on the back, a little bit of a different treatment of that bumper and that kind of rear under spoiler as well. Again, probably to help with driving around in the real world and kind of deal with curbs and that kind of stuff. So the exterior has got some things that are different. It does substantially look like the prototype though. On the interior, there are more differences. The seats are different. The materials for the carpet is different. The dashboard has changed slightly, and of course with that B-pillar change, the seats are farther back in the cabin, and maybe just as part of a crash worthiness or crash protection for the passengers by kind of hiding them a little bit more behind that B-pillar. So great to see these production ready Cybercabs. Of course, they're going to be built here at the factory. Now, one thing I did notice related to Cybercab production today for the first time is this image here. What this is showing you is this new asphalt section on the east side with new painted lines. Why is this important? Because this is where the Cybercabs would most likely be exiting the factory for the first time, and this is how they would exit over to the roads and then work their way over to the west outbound lot. So really great to see that this kind of work is continuing in addition to all the work on the inside to prepare for the production lines. The last bit of news that is something that's really big, something we're waiting for here both in Austin and around the country, is that yesterday they started testing fully driverless and unsupervised vehicles here in the Austin area. Now, there's been a couple of video clips, as you can see with what I'm showing you here, 2 different vehicles driving around. There's probably more, and of course with this confirmation with Elon Musk is that they are doing that testing with nobody in the car, and this is also very consistent with his recent announcement that by the end of this year, certainly within the next few weeks, we're going to see unsupervised robo-taxis for the public here in Austin. So great to see. A lot more going on around the site today. So let's get into the drone, let's fly around and see what else, and we'll talk along the way. And as always, thank you very much for watching.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are considering purchasing Starlink, I would recommend that you use my referral link at the bottom of the screen. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Although it's a brisk morning, it is beautiful to fly here at Giga Texas today, and I thought I would start here on the southwest corner, just show you what's going on with this material staging. See, of course, all of the pipes that are being stored here, but also many more deliveries. These are all wrapped in kind of a black material on at least 3 of the vehicles, and the bright pink one is having some items that are being unloaded using that front end loader. They look like they're similar to the white wrapped items that you see nearby. And we'll get a chance to see at least part of that being pulled out of the truck here momentarily. But it does look like more and more production line equipment is being delivered here. Some of them in crates, as you see at the right of the screen. Some of it in this white wrapped material. And more deliveries, as I mentioned, in the pink truck. And we also see other items that are stored off the screen up to the upper left. We'll see that here momentarily. But again, just a lot more materials that are being delivered here for the factory. And of course, I'll continue to watch this and we'll see what exactly is being delivered and hopefully where it is going in the factory. So maybe we can identify what that looks like. But as you can tell, a lot of these crates are here. Of course, the white tint has been completely removed, including all of the steel framing. And all you can see now is the kind of rectangular pattern where it used to be. Of course, more of the concrete pipe segments and vaults being stored here, and all of the racks that are normally used for castings. Again, some of these came from the far north, and we're going to visit that area later in the video to show you what is going on in that area, but these were relocated to clear that area for potentially some more construction. Steel items are stored here in this section. Much of this has been used inside the factory for more of the floors, mezzanines, and other interior work. And it looks like with the amount of materials, there's going to be more of that coming in the near future. As we go over the power lines and drop down here, I'll just show you what's going on with the supercharger workshop. And we'll zoom in and you can tell that they have a number of these V4 superchargers being put together. There are 4 per a rack, and then they have the power cabinet in between. And I'm not sure where on the site these are going to be used. Perhaps they're going to replace the ones that are already in use, but on the bottom of the screen you can see the black framing, so there are several more going to be added, and perhaps maybe it's an expansion here as well. So hopefully we'll see where that's coming and being installed here very soon. As we cross over more of the staging yard and this orange and white tint structure, I'll just show you what the transformers look like. More have been delivered. The ones that are newest are by the containers, and the rest of them are still here waiting for either movement off-site or used around the site itself. But we'll continue to watch that as well. As I bring the drone up to a higher altitude, just wanted to show you that the outbound lot is pretty empty. This is typical on a Monday, and that's because the transportation operations take place over the weekend. Production is gearing up today. It looked like it was a Model Y performance production day based on the number of Model Ys I saw coming out of the factory. As we continue to maneuver our way towards the north part of end of line, I did notice that there was work being done near where these vaults and electrical boxes have been added in. It looks like there's a kind of trapezoidal section being done with a grate, and they're putting in gravel. And this is what it looks like here, very close in. I'm not exactly sure what this is, if this is just for landscaping, because it's similar to what we see around where the track is, where the words Tesla are located, or maybe it's something else. But this is a great view of what is going on here at the north end, plus some of the Model Ys that are just now arriving here at the north part for processing through the end of line facility. So we'll get ready to cross over the highway and we'll resume on the other side. Thought I would give a nice shot of the west main entrance and the flags, and then continue onto the roof, flying along where we see the solar panels that have been added here at the bottom center of the screen, kind of the underline of the Tesla letters. And as we cross over the firewall break, we can see the work that is being done to add more. Some of these solar panels have a lot of dirt on them. They've been stored over at the west side for quite some time, and now they're being brought over here. Once they are installed, they will clean them off. And this is adding more of the solar panels. Now, I've had people ask, well, how many more solar panels are going to be put on, and why don't they have the whole roof? Well, the answer is it's going to be more than 70,000. Eventually, most of the roof will be covered, but with all of the changes in the factory and the alterations to the roof, in addition to some repairs on the roofing material, it was put on delay until now, and we'll continue to watch and see what happens. Here at the battery cell recycling section, not a lot of activity at the time that I stopped by with the drone, but that's where they will recycle materials and the cans that are not needed for the 4680s. Not a lot of activity at this loading platform today, but we do see everything is rigged up for more equipment to arrive. As we look across the road at the berm, this is where more of that trenching is underway. They're going to be connecting in some of the pipes to the lift station, which is just at the bottom of the screen, and to all of the pipe segments that have been added in on this berm, and continuing all the way down to the south where we see that caisson and vault system being installed. As we get back towards the exit point for the Model Ys, a couple things to point out. First, you can tell that these are Model Y performances that are coming out, and we'll see a few of them exiting through the factory. Note also the lines and the markings that they have here as the vehicles exit. This one uses a ramp, but the reason why I'm pointing all this out is when we get to the east side, they are starting to mark off the location and the exit point for the Cybercabs. And it is similar to what we see here. And with the vehicles exiting, you get a kind of a sense of the operational tempo that we will eventually see with Cybercab. So just keep that in mind. I'll show you that here a little bit later in the video. So I'm going to pop up, fly along the roof line, and we're going to go down and take a look what's going on with the caissons and other construction on the south end. Here continues next to this black fence. We see some excavators. The crane has returned. We saw it being dismantled a few videos ago, and now there is continued work with this large vault and lowering some items down into this excavation. You can see the broken up caisson wall here at the bottom center of the screen, and a better view here of what is going on. These black bags at the bottom of the screen with the pipes going to them are constantly busy. They're pumping out the water at the base of this excavation, which seems to be a continuing issue that they are trying to resolve. Some excavation work on the left-hand side of the screen at the bottom of the screen, and as we cross over, we see some of the tunnel boring machine and the slurry mix station. We see this red and white kind of circular item here. This is all part of that underground tunneling, and that was used in the caisson that you can see here to put in the concrete pipes. As we look at the fork statue, more of the conduit and trenching is being done here, and a great view across the cyberpond to the south end. But here's a close view of that work that is underway. So I'll fly over the cyberpond towards the east, just a quick view to the south side of River Road. And another thing I noticed is you saw those Model Ys kind of driving in a line. They kept coming back and forth along River Road and honking at me and waving, so I'm not sure what they were doing. Maybe they're filming something for Giga Texas. That'll be something that we'll continue to watch. But you can see those line of cars at the bottom of the screen, and as I mentioned, they kept going back and forth along River Road. Nice view across the main factory. I'm going to continue to maneuver the drone to look back towards the east. Great view across this section, the parking garage, the east parking lot, and all the way over to the battery cathode plant, die shop, and the Cortex 2. As I bring the drone down, we see the trench boxes here stored next to the widened section here for what will eventually be a River Road. and you can get a good sense of how wide this is going to be. It's coming up to where the underground steel corrugated pipes are being added in almost like a manifold section, and the work is being done now to fill it back in, put some water on to help with the compaction. They have the gravel mix around it as well, and that will all work together to prevent the floating up of those pipes and to help with the drainage through this location. But a great view of the activity here. As I pan the drone back up, you can see continued work on the grade with that kind of bulldozer in the middle of the screen, and also a pretty good sense of how much grade work is still needed to level out this section. The bottom of the screen is where the intersection of Robotic Avenue and River Road will be made, and of course more of the drainage ditch here with some more of the pipes sticking out of the earth. Great view here of that earthwork and the grade work that I had mentioned. One thing I also want to check on is the recycle center. My last video, we saw a large number of castings had been brought over here right about in the middle of the screen where this white trailer is. They all appear to be gone. So what was the disposition and why did they move them over here? That's a good question. I'm not really sure, but they are now all gone. As I continue to keep the zoom in, just to show you the pipe fabrication sections. And these are the workshops. This is what they are working on for Cortex 2 with the cooling system pipes right now. And you can see all that fabrication work being done in each of those three closest workshops to us at the bottom of the screen. Nice view across the entire clearing and all the way back towards the main factory and what this section is looking like here today. I'm going to maneuver kind of over these trees, some more section here with some items being stored. And as we go across Robotic Avenue again, that's a nice view of this staging yard. As I zoom in, you can see some more of the pipe segments that have been fabricated in those workshops being stored here temporarily until they are needed around the site. Also see some gravel that is being stored here and some more materials. And of course, all of these trailers that we can see are parts of the contractors and also security that operates here on the site. As we fly up over the parking garage, we see a vehicle unloader underway, and didn't really notice that while I was flying the drone. Otherwise, I would have stopped there. What I was really paying attention to more was this east side of the factory, and I will show you here momentarily why. We'll start on the south end looking at the cooling plant with the plastic around the base because of the potential for freezing weather. That protects all of the items and the sensors and systems that they have underneath that cooling system. As I pan the drone along stamping, you can see some of the stamping scraps that are being collected, in addition to some more of the waste materials from some of the equipment that's being delivered. And then at the bottom of the screen, we can see this asphalt section with the lines, and you can see them extending all the way up to that door on the left side of the screen. Now, this is most likely the exit point of the factory for Cybercabs once they finish their production, which is taking place all throughout this part of the factory, just behind the walls and the glass windows. And that takes place on multiple floors throughout this entire section. So it's logical to assume that those markings are where the Cybercab will exit, very similar to what we saw with the Model Y exit point on the other side of the factory. As we continue to keep the zoom in and fly to the north, just want to show some more of the Cybercab castings, both the front underbody, the rear subframe, and the rear upper hoop section. Also, more items in these crates that are related to Cybercab. As I continue to maneuver around the poles and the towers, you can see the Model Y castings that are in the rack mounts. Some of them are on the ground. And as we continue to fly towards the north, all of these are Model Y, and the area where the Cybercab's castings used to be were moved away. Now, these racks have some Cybercab castings, and on the ground, we see a mix of more castings, including the upper or rear hoop kind of section for the Cybercab. And I'm trying to give you the best view as I possibly can from this vantage point. And you can kind of see what these look like. Intermixed with some of these appear to be some Cybertruck front castings as well. But nevertheless, it looks like the casting section is definitely keeping busy, making a lot of these castings specifically for the Cybercab. As we get closer to 2026, we should start seeing a lot more of the activity with Cybercabs, and April is when the production is supposed to kick off, so just a few months away. On the north end here, throughout the casting staging yard, we can see the trench work, the purple pipe that's being installed, and this is extending all along the entire north side. I think this is probably the best views I've given you yet, with lighting showing you what this excavation work looks like. They are still actively processing the castings in this yard as well. So both production and construction, again, at the same time and location here at Giga Texas. This is where the purple pipe joins into other pipes that go along the berm all the way down to the south of the factory. And this is what it looks like here today. As we get back towards the plastics manufacturing section, this is where we saw a lot of Model Y bumpers that had just been produced. Now we see some of them in these green bins. So it looks like at least some of them did not pass inspection, are getting ready for recycling. The paint stands are also nearby, and those are what are used to paint those bumpers once they come out of plastics. And it's very convenient because the paint shop is very close. Brought the drone up. We're flying over the power lines to the north, taking advantage of the different light today, just to show you what's going on with the electrical switch yard. This gives you a great sense of the double in size that the expansion has done and the work that is continuing on the way. I also wanted to show you these power poles on the north. There's some speculation that we're going to see some more of these added in on the north side of the expansion, which seems logical, but you never know. This is the batch plant where all the concrete is now being made that's used for Giga Texas and for the area. And then at the farther north, this is kind of the landscaping materials section, a lot of containers as well, and more materials that are stockpiled on this dirt road near the tree lines. And this, looking back towards the factory, gives you a great sense of how far to the north we are here, and what some of this area looks like, where I don't normally get a chance to show you what is going on at this part of the site. This batch plant, by the way, replaced the old Martin Marietta batch plant that was predated Giga Texas, and it was located where Cortex 2 is being constructed now. A great view from the north to the south along the expansion for the electrical switch yard. Crane is busy today on the north end doing more steel assembly. And as I remind you, look off to the upper right and you see kind of a mirror image of what they're building here, and it gives you a really good idea of what to expect. There are some changes specifically with these concrete slabs and the steel superstructure on top of those slabs, but otherwise it's very close. And there's some more work on the framing and the rebar for more of those slabs, and a good view of the A-frames that have been installed. 5 of them have been assembled so far. More materials waiting for its chance to be assembled onto the expansion of the electrical switch yard. And as I maneuver around here on the south end, I noticed that there was some work at the vaults. They've uncovered one of these openings at the end of the concrete underground vault here, as you can tell, and they've excavated some of the gravel away. You can see some vaults being installed, and here in the connecting tunnel, we see for the first time an extensive amount of cabling that has been run from one of these vaults to the other, and using those cable holders, those yellow ones along the wall. A nice view of Megapack 2. Some of the cabling that's being installed here actively through the conduit, through these vaults, and then over towards Cortex 2. This is what underground will connect the new electrical switch yard and expansion yard over towards Cortex 2. As we gain some altitude, I'll fly over this water detention pond and just give you a good view of some of the activity here on the west side of Cortex 2. There's a lot of activity associated with the transformers and these mounts and bases that have been installed. We see some more trenching on the bottom of the screen that suggests we're going to see this continuing to the north, which is what I expect. You can see some of the cable trays that are being added onto the platform against the wall. And as I get closer, you can see these openings on the roof that they are working on, plus the risers that bring the cables up and onto the roof here. This is generally how the electrical cables are going to extend from the transformers, the bottom right of the screen, and into Cortex 2 through these kind of silver cable conduits and the openings in the roof. As I pull away, this is a good view of the work so far. As I mentioned, expect to see this extending along most of the length of this side of the building. On the south end, we see a purple pipe on the ground near where there's excavation work that is underway, and this will be installed throughout this entire section. Here's a good view of some of the new trenching. It looked like some of that also was conduit, but this is how it is extending further towards the die shop. Now, just to the bottom of the screen, we see some more rebar cages being fabricated. Of course, the form work for the walls is kind of sitting idle here at the sides of the site right now, but we know we're going to see more of that here in the future. As you can also tell, pump trucks are very busy pumping more concrete into this new platform on the north side, and it will pretty much mimic what we are seeing here on the east side. Now, as I zoom in, this gives you a great view of the actual work that is being done and the pouring of the concrete on this north end. As I show you these manifold kind of connections, we can see some of the first pipe segments being installed and other holes through the walls, which is where pipes will go through. This is part of the cooling system, and this will be necessary to keep all of the data center very cool as it operates. As I pull away, a great view of all the walls, some of the holes in the walls where we'll expect to see more pipes extend through, and of course the active work on concrete pumping here today. A nice view also next to the walls where the pipes are getting ready to extend into the building, and this platform with some more electronic equipment that has been installed just to the north of that cooling plant. I'll keep the zoom in and kind of pan around this east side of the building. See the receiving doors with the loading dock systems and concrete have been completed. As we continue to pan around, we see some more excavation work and more of those docks being prepared for concrete. In fact, you can see the forms and possibly, it's hard to tell for sure if there's been concrete poured or not. Here's a quick view looking in. Looks like no concrete, but you can see some walls on the inside with plastic, and that plastic is on some temporary platforms or scaffolding. Here's a view of all of these equipment items that are being stored on the east side, and then on the north side, a good view of more of these pipe manifolds and other sections, many of which are being made at those workshops that we saw on the far east section. So I'm going to kind of alter my flight path a little here. We're going to turn to the north. I want to show you some continued work that is underway at this very far to the north site. Where it looks like they are doing the necessary work to prepare for construction at some point. As I continue to fly around here, you can tell that there is some roads and excavation work here next to the pond at the bottom of the screen and through the tree line. A lot of the old tree debris is being mulched and collected here. That's what you see with all the dust coming up. Many of the concrete slab sections that you can see in the middle of the screen next to the tree lines have been broken up and removed, and they're doing that work at the south end as well. They have done soil test drilling throughout this entire area as well, which usually is before construction begins. So I don't know what is going on here. There's been multiple different permits filed and then rescinded over the last few years. Everything from a North Logistics lot to a Harold Green Road extension or a rebuild. But all of those permits seem to be expired at this point in time. So I don't know, but you can definitely tell that the priority right now is to clear all of the debris, mulch it up, and remove it from the site. And as we get over towards this side, to continue with the clearing of all of the concrete debris that was here. You can see some of it at the bottom of the screen here, more at the top center of the screen. And all of this broken up concrete is being transported nearby, and I will show you where that is momentarily. But nonetheless, all of this old concrete, which incidentally used to be the south end where the extension of the main factory was built, was broken up, brought up here, used for materials and to keep it out of the mud for a long time. But now that is no longer needed, and you can tell just how much of the work is underway to break all that up. I'm going to bring the drone up, fly over the hills and valleys in this middle section where we do see some additional work for eventually reclaiming that area. And I wanted to stop at the rental equipment lot just to kind of give you a sense of what this looks like. Also looking back towards the main factory of how far to the north we are. Now, this work that is being done here near the rental equipment lot and also the maintenance facilities that you can see here at the middle of the screen. And then off to the left, as I pan the drone, we can see a makeshift new recycle center. The amount of work and activity in this area has definitely picked up. It's more than I have seen in quite some time. And it does suggest that maybe we will see some sort of construction in this area, but it's something I will continue to watch and hopefully we'll get an answer for. As I continue to fly to the south back towards the battery cathode plant, I mentioned where a lot of that broken up concrete was being brought, at least temporarily, and where all the dust is, you'll see a dump truck bringing it here and dropping it off for more storage, at least in this part of the site. And we'll continue to watch this to see how this develops over time, as we are obviously much closer to the facilities here than that far north area. So eventually I bet this is all going to be wanted to be cleaned up as well. I wanted to stop here briefly, show you what's going on with the green transformers. These are the ones that are being installed along the west side of Cortex 2. As you can tell, there's many more remaining, so a lot of work ahead. And finally, the crash test facility. I want to zoom in, show you what's going on here. We see some Cybercabs under covers, some containers with the wooden crates with Cybercab items. But I also want to point out both the north and the south end of the crash test facility is getting this framework. Also looks like a vent in the middle. I suspect this is to ultimately close off both the north and the south ends. I think that's great, specifically for the workers during the winter when it can be extremely cold and open to the elements, and they're trying to do all the crash testing. So I expect to see these finished off in the next few weeks, and then the views inside will be taken away, at least from what we've been used to. So that'll be it for today. I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude and kind of turn back towards the main factory, also downtown Austin in the upper part of the screen, and give you a great view of all of the areas that we visited today, and just get a sense for just how much of the site now is under some form of construction. As always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it and your support. As always, take care, and thanks for watching.